everyone, and welcome back to the Knockout Data Insights channel. For today, me and Oleg decided to share with you what we did on the latest Maven Analytics data challenge. So, for those of you who are not aware of Maven Analytics, they are online learning platform, and they organize these monthly challenges on various data topics. It's opportunity for data analysts to express their way of visualizing data and be creative, regardless of the BI tool that they were using. So we've picked Power BI, and yeah, I'll leave it to Oleg to share with you more about the latest challenge and share what he did.
Yeah, thank you, Kalina. That sounds good. So every year in December, Spotify, the music streaming platform, they release a year-end recap to its users to show the users' listening habits, and it shows you like their most played songs and how many minutes you listen to, and some other statistics. So Spotify, they provide summarized insights to its users, but also there's an option where you can download your own data in a JSON file and create your version of it. And that's what this Maven competition was about. It's about creating your own version of Spotify Wrapped. So if you have an account, you can download that data, or you can just use a sample data set provided by Maven Analytics. I did have an account of mine. I don't use it very often, but I think it was enough data for me to build a Power BI dashboard. So I will share what I put together. So here's what my report looks like. And I called the report "What type of EDM music is my favorite?" And the reason for that is when I exported my history from Spotify, I noticed that the majority of the songs from the last year or so were some kind of EDM songs, which means electronic dance music, which is a very broad genre. But they were still from that genre, so I just took out the songs that weren't EDM songs and focused specifically within this genre to explore my own taste in music. So I exported the data and I created two separate tables out of it, an artist table and a songs table. And there's a third table, which I'll explain in a few minutes. And for these two tables, I also enriched the data a little with the help of AI. I categorized the songs into subgenres within the EDM overall broader EDM genre, and then there's an even deeper level beneath that, which I'll show you. And then I also got the country that the artists are from because I was just curious, like where do they come from? So speaking of genres, the very first visual is about that. It shows the total minutes played in the past year, and it's donut chart that shows what portion of the total minutes played the major subgenres within EDM music represented for me. There was the majority were trance songs, and then the second place was house, and there was one techno song. But you see there's some white lines on the chart. The white lines represent like the subcategories within the subgenres. So you see under house there's certain amount of time played under deep house and electro house and progressive house. So I did it this way because I wanted to focus on the main subgenres, because sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Okay, is this progressive house or deep house? Unless you're like a music expert, you may not know. So I wanted to keep it as simple as possible and also not have too many colors and too many categories for the audience to digest. But if they want to, they can drill in and see additional information, because it's not a PowerPoint slide, it's an interactive Power BI report, and we can do that. So I showed the total minutes played by the subgenres, and then the next visual shows the total minutes played by artists, and it's color coded the same way. So the legend on the donut chart, the colors are the same as they are here. so you can see what genre it is without having to like label each one and repeat the label multiple times. So it's a cool trick to just reduce how much information you put on the dashboard while still being clear for your audience. So it's a pretty straightforward visualization. The only complexity to it, though, is um, the songs can sometimes have multiple artists, but also one artist can have multiple songs. So you can imagine that creates a many-to-many relationship between the data. And I wanted everything to interact. So, for example, when I pick Turkey, I wanted every chart to update. Specifically, the song table, because the country comes from the artist table. So how can I make sure that the songs show up only for artists from the selected country? And I did this by creating a bridge table to work around the many-to-many relationship issue. So in my artist table, I made an artist ID field, and I included the artist ID field in a bridge table. And in my song table, I have a song ID, and it's also included in the bridge table. So the bridge table has both. So it allows me to join the two tables together. There's a one-to-many relationship from artists to this, and a one-to-many relationship from songs to this table. And I made sure to set the cross-filter direction to both. And the reason for that is that exactly what I just showed, because had I not done that, when I select Turkey, I wouldn't be able to see the songs by artists created from Turkey. So that's one little caveat I wanted to share. And this is the songs table. It also shows total minutes played. I won't spend too much time on it. The next visual is, it shows the number of songs. So it's a different metric now, because up until then I was showing total minutes, but now I'm showing the number by decade. So I grouped it by decade because I felt like too many years the chart might not look good, and really, like, if it's from 2017 versus 2018, like, I don't know if it really matters that much. But it does matter if like the songs were released 20, 30 years apart, because they're different eras and music always evolves. So I grouped it by a decade, and here's what it summarized it. It does show that the majority of my songs were more recently released in the last 15 years or so, but there's a few from the 2000s and even two from the 90s. And lastly, I showed a table of where the artists come from, because that's something I wanted to learn. The artists within this genre, they're not as well known as like a pop singer or rapper or like a rock superstar, because they're kind of behind the scenes. They produce music in the studio, so you might see their name, but you don't know much about them. So that's why I use that AI to enrich the data. And to my surprise, there were, even though it's not a huge sample size, there were eight artists from the Netherlands. So I thought that was interesting. So I just wanted to show the top 5 here instead of every country, because there were the rest of them were just showing like one artist from one country, and so it wouldn't be like very helpful to see that. I just wanted to see where does the majority comes from. So I did a top 5 visual. So here it is. In total, I have 5 visuals, and then also an about me page that describes the key subgenres that I talked about, and then what the report is. So as I mentioned, it's a very minimalistic design, and I had a very specific question I wanted to address, which is what kind of EDM music I like. So I hope it achieved that. So that's my report. I'll turn it over to you, Kalina, now. Can you please share your report?
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So I would like to show you two of the main things I always keep in mind. when I start working on a new report, having just raw data. And the first thing I always keep in mind is the question how to reduce the cognitive load on the report users, how to save them some interpretation time. And I'll demonstrate this with this visual that I did. So on top in this table, you see what I added on my report page. And the bottom table is what I started with. And the first advice I have for you is when working with a lot of data, decide what's important for the end users and focus on these edge cases that you see um, as patterns over the years. So it could be that the highest or the lowest records are more relevant to you. In my case, I focused on the top 5, and the way I did that is I use this rank function, and I filtered for each year the top 5 tracks for each artist and album, with the aim not to show all of the data available, but to focus on what's really relevant for the end users. Then the other thing I wanted to share with you from DAX perspective and making the report more visually appealing is this first column that I did here. So this combines the artist, album, and track name that we have in the raw data. And I'm starting here with the artist name. Then I'm using the unichar function, and that's used for line breaks. You can see how I have some space here, and how I have the album and the track on new lines by adding this unichar 10. Then I also added some additional text and some SVG icons that I downloaded from internet, just to make the report more visually appealing and structured. Another thing that I think is on I did this on the hours plate here. So originally I had the hours plate calculated as a decimal number, but thinking from user's perspective, it's not that nice to see 3.9 hours. And I thought it would be way more user-friendly to see this in hours and minutes. So I converted this again with some simple DAX. So I'm taking the hours, converting these to minutes. Then with the int function, I'm taking only the hours part, and the mod takes the rest for the minutes. And then I'm formatting this with using some hours and minutes to make this more user-friendly. Then another thing that I did is on the this spark line here. And I think spark lines are quite simple yet powerful tool you can use in Power BI to enhance your reports. So this spark line is based on the track place, and it's useful to have it for trend recognition over time. So the way you create a spark line is by right-clicking on the measure that you want to create a spark line for, and add a spark line. Then you select the period you want to summarize by, and that creates you this column for the spark line. And I find the spark lines specifically useful when the numbers are quite close to each other. So in this case, we have 48 versus 47 track plays for these two different artists. But if you notice, the trend over time is quite different. So there are more spikes for the strokes artist, whereas the hoops, they were quite popular beginning of the year, but then drastically declined over time. So yeah, spark lines quite powerful tool for adding additional context of how data is um, developing over time for specific KPI. And the other thing I wanted to show you is related to feature engineering. Now, feature engineering refers to the um, process of creating new columns in your data to improve the insights and the visibility of your reports. In simple terms, it's grouping of some of the columns that you have. So in this case, in my data, we had the start reason for each song, and if we check all of the start reasons, um, the data looks like this. But it's not really user friendly. So by showing just the numbers, how many time each song is played and what is the start reason, it's not immediately clear to the report user what is the trend behind it. So is the reason something good, something bad? What's the meaning of the reason? So I created these additional columns here for sentiment and for start reason category. So this helps us to categorize all of the plays and why each play started by splitting this into good, neutral, mixed actions or bad as well. And then further, I'm splitting the data. Let's say I'm taking the good sentiment. I'm splitting the data into the different categories. So the song may start because it's just the next on the Spotify queue, or because the user clicked something specifically and initiated specific song. Again, to summarize, so feature engineering, in my opinion, is quite useful because by grouping the data, this helps users to understand clearly patterns and notice them more easily. It improves the readability of your report when you're looking at something new, when you don't have all of the business understanding for a specific report. And yeah, last but not least, it enables the decision making, makes it more clear, and makes the insights digestible for the end users. So I hope you found these tips and this way of thinking useful, and that you apply some of this when designing reports from scratch. Oleg, over to you.
Yeah, so in summary, we wanted to highlight some important aspects when working on an analysis or a report. As you can see, there's a lot of like details that need to be considered, from the data you include or exclude to the design of the report to even the colors and we wanted to share with you like our thought processes for this most recent competition, and we hope you found it useful. If you have any feedback or questions, please reach out to us or just leave a comment, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.
Bye.